Hey guys, welcome back. So, in this video, mm, let's talk about this Netflix series, Unorthodox. So, this was recommended to me by my colleague. Uh, she is from Israel, she's Jewish as well. Uh, and I think I watched it like last week sometime. Last weekend, I believe Friday night. I started a bit late after having dinner and all of that, around maybe 9 o'clock, and it had like four episodes or something like that, 4 or 5 episodes, if I'm not wrong, and they were like really long episodes. I couldn't stop it. It was I was so like captivated by the story. I finished it around like maybe 1 or 2 o'clock or 2 a.m. in the morning, and literally it is like a mind blowing a journey into the Orthodox Jewish tradition and customs and whatnot. So I'm not going to delve into whether what is right and what is wrong and all that kind of stuff, because this is religion. It is very subjective. Uh, Me myself, I was brought up in an atheist family, but I'm kind of like an agnostic. I do think there is some higher power, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I do believe that there is some entity that would have created this whole life, and there probably is a reason why all of life exists and why things are the way they are. But that aside, that is just my own personal belief and whatnot. So if you like, first thing first, I have never seen a movie that 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 depicts Jewish tradition in such a detailed manner, fashion, as this movie. Matter of fact, I've not seen any movie that of any tradition that delves into this much of detail of that religion, specific religion. It was almost like watching uh, like a documentary kind of, and every character, every actor, their acting is so flawless. You just don't think even for a moment, right, that this is like a movie that you're watching or a series that you're watching. It is so convincing in the way it is directed, and the way the characters have portrayed their roles. Unbelievable. It is a must watch if you're interested in the history of religions, and if you're generally interested in different customs, cultures and whatnot. I think you should watch it. It's a must watch. But on the other hand, if you're very orthodox in your faith and whatnot, better to stay away from this series, because it you may find it a bit offensive. uh, so I'll tell you my perspective as to what I felt. So, when I started off, like this girl, she escapes her home, and then secretly catches a train and whatnot, gets a ticket and whatnot. She escapes the place, and instantly I was like, Why is she making all this fuss about? Like, she could just tell them and then leave. Like, what's the big fuss? What's the big deal?" But then slowly, as and when, like, kept watching it, I was like, oh shit. Nah, this can't be done. It's not possible what she's doing. It right. Look, I slowly started to kind of understand what why she did what she did. I started. It was a bit scary as to what the people around her, their mindset and whatnot, right? So it's a very extreme, far right kind of ideology that she is brought up in, and and then she goes to Berlin, ends up with a group that is like extreme far left. You know what I mean? That's another interesting thing that the movie does. So what, like, she goes from this extreme to that extreme. In my opinion, extremity is not always a good thing, be it this extreme or that extreme, right? There has to be some kind of middle ground. That's what I told my colleague as well after watching this is an interesting thing that they have done in this movie. So oftentimes what we do in the current generation, the current society, whenever we make movies, we always look at it from the perspective of whatever we have right now is the best thing. So obviously, the movie makers, I think, were of the opinion that this society, what we live in, the liberal society, is the best thing that has happened to our civilization, right? And she also, this girl also goes, dreams of this liberal utopia kind of a setup, right? And once she reaches there, because there's so many things that's taboo in an ultra orthodox environment, right? Even listening to music is taboo. You can't have multimedia mobile phones. I'm talking about the things that the movie discusses, right? You can't have multimedia phones. You can't have, and the actresses, the protagonist's husband, they are so conservative. They cannot they follow proper arranged marriage setup. I could relate to it because I'm from India, right? We have arranged this arranged marriage kind of setup, and they only have sex the first time with the one that they married. So it is very uber orthodox, like ultra orthodox, in its belief systems and whatnot. But from a liberal perspective, looking at it from a liberal perspective, right, it would seem as though what that belief system is not the best way to live your life. And but if you think about it, religion the concept of religion is a very old thing. And religions, I don't know whether whatever was written in the Bible or the Torah or the Quran or whatever. Like, the religious perspective is Quran was directly given to the prophet by God, and the Bible, there would be some similar kind of thing for every religion, right? But um, I don't know how many percent, like what percentage of the world population believes it, because everybody seems to believe only their religion is the true religion. The other religion is not so true, right? So every religion has this belief that their religion is the true revelation, true the only true children of God and whatnot. So if you think from that perspective, not everybody believes the whatever is written in the books, right? But my point of view would be, okay, so we could go two different ways. Currently, in a robust liberal society, we believe mostly in science, so we don't literally believe what's written in the Bible. We consider those Bible or any religious text, Torah or whatever, like, to be metaphors or something like that, right? So that is one way to go about it. Second perspective would be what considering that as a literal truth, right? And then to go about your life that way. So we in the current like Western society, we take the first approach where we consider everything is kind of like metaphors, and we don't take the religious text that seriously or literally. But what if it's true, right? If it is true, so that's the perspective that these uber orthodox, ultra orthodox people live by. No, so if it is true, it would mean that to go back to the source, to get back to the to go to heaven or whatever like the belief system is, you have to be strict with everything that's mentioned in the text, in the religious text, right? So we don't know, obviously I don't know whether what was uh, revealed in those religious books are true or they are probably metaphors or whatever. But since I don't believe in the in even in the concept of like heaven or hell or like afterlife or whatever, I'm not saying I don't believe. I'm saying we as we in the Western society in general, right? Because everybody, not like people, they're not as religious as they used to be like 50 years ago for example. So if you consider from that perspective, everything that they do may like the customs that were shown in the movie, every single thing would make sense to you. The reason that they uh, what do you call that, they refrain from having sex after the period, there's so many things that they explain in the movie, right? It is like an ideal kind of world where your ultimate goal would be to get back to the source, right? Even the spiritual perspective deals with the same thing. It's basically giving up your attachments, isn't it? While the religious interpretation is just is followed because it's written. The spiritual perspective is a bit uh, what do you call that? I'm talking about the spiritual perspective because I come from India. There's a lot of that, meditation and all, that kind of philosophy in India. So I can relate to that as well. But what I understand is, no matter which road you take, the idea is the same. The idea is to give up attachments, and the same is happening in different religions as well. Is it's just conveyed in a different way. In the spiritual perspective, it's the same. You have to just give up your attachments. That is the ultimate goal. So eventually, everything, the goal is the same, like at least the same goal is what I'm trying to say, like to get back to the source. So looking at it from that perspective, uh, I got what the perspective, what the ultra orthodox people, why they seem that way. And I was really like mind blown with the way that they with the depth in which they have shown every custom that happens in that Jewish tradition. um, and it's some of the things that they show are like really could be really offensive. You will never get to watch this kind of series or movie made in an American mainstream thing. It would never happen because it is really offensive. I think to like I don't know how the Germans. I think this is like a German production, but apparently I came to know from my colleague that what they speak is Yiddish. I initially thought it was German, but Yiddish is like a Jewish language that were created by the Jews when they moved to the eastern part of Europe, I was told. And that's another interesting thing, right? Where I found out that in the Jewish tradition, ethnicity and religion are pretty much the same thing. There's no difference. What I mean by that is, I come from the southern part of India, and I'm a Hindu. But there are Christians in the southern part of India. There are Jews. There are Muslims. There are Jains. There are Buddhists. All kinds of religions. But that is religion. Ethnicity, they would be all South Indians, like, or Dravidians, or Tamils, or Malayalis, or Kannadigas, or Andhrates, or however you want to call it. But I believe in the Jewish tradition. I'm talking about Orthodox Jewish tradition, I would say. These are pretty much the same thing, religion and ethnicity, because they don't marry outside their religion. So even when they move to a different country or different state or whatever, right? They remain endogamous, and then that's how I think their bloodline is kind of maintained. I don't know what the intention behind that is. Maybe to um, keep the tradition alive, or keep the religion, keep the bloodline unmixed, or whatever, right? So when you call someone Jewish, it means both their religion as well as their ethnicity, I guess. That's what I understood after watching this movie. It's a very interesting movie, actually. So many things that they show in this series, like starting from the way the women, how they shave their heads and start wearing wigs. I asked my colleague what was the reason behind it, and then she said it's for modesty. Showing your hair is not considered modest, apparently. And there's a similar thing that happens in the Islam as well. They wear the burqa, right? I believe that's pretty much for the same reason, modesty. So fundamentally, different religions, they believe in the same kind of values, is what I'm trying to say. And there is this huge hats that the men wear. I was really scared when I watched that. It was a bit too exotic for me. And they always dressed with the coat and suit. I don't know, that is probably a religious thing as well. And their hair is like curled up in the front, and then they wear this sit something called like a shirt that reminded me of this sacred thread that the Brahmins wear in India. There's there's lot of things that I wouldn't I like I honestly felt that this movie in any other country would have been banned, or would have been, I don't know, there would have been some kind of outrage or whatever, right? um, yeah, it was a very interesting series. It's a Actually, I felt really sorry for them at the, like, by the time it ended. I actually really felt sorry, both for the girl as well, and for the boy, the guy, the girl's husband as well, because they didn't choose this, right? They didn't they And they were born into this belief system, this setup, and you don't have an option. You just have to do what everyone else does, right? And there is no escape as well, even for the girl, right? Like the guy's friend, what do you call that, the rowdy kind of friend, he says, we'll come back and get the baby. You know what I mean? So in order to preserve the endogamous entity, the morale of the endogamous entity, they actually go a bit too far, is what I'm trying to say, even to, as far as hurting the person who's trying to escape this belief system and setup. And 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 I can only feel sorry. I was only able to feel sorry, and like, these guys are helpless. And what can you I think that pretty much the same with any belief system which is very strict and very orthodox in the way it goes about it, not just the Orthodox Jewish tradition, be it any ultra Orthodox tradition, right? Uh, it is a bit difficult. We have because you have to be really, really, really strict about whatever you do. Hmm. All right. So if you guys have seen this, let me know in the comment whether you liked it or not. I'll see you guys in another video. Bye bye.